Previously on Stolen Souls.
Will you guys be staying around for much longer? In the long term? The city might be in need of your aid.
Oh, about the other thing.
I think we're hoping to leave before that.
Yeah, before the
Wait,
invasion.
what other thing? What are you talking about?
Well, Eno should probably be able to tell you more because he actually heard his voice. About the Rune Lord.
What?
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Dalabor's entire demeanor changes, thinking that other people don't know things.
Rune Lord Karsug.
Yeah.
Yes.
He spoke to
What did you hear? Dalibor sits down.
He knows about an item he is looking for that is here. He said he would be visiting this place soon.
Yes. Well, this place isn't going to let him just walk in.
Is that item that I received important or not really?
You know that the Rune Lord gave these medallions to basically his lieutenants as badges of kind of his direct conduit of power.
I will take, I think it was wrapped up, right?
Yep.
I will take it out and set it on the alchemy desk. Just kind of unfurl the 7-pointed star necklace.
Dalibor will recover it back up because he's not done. Not that he really will do much. Where did you get this item?
In our quest to rid Bridgefront of Shiver.
Is this in an underground location? And would you be willing to divulge, give me where it was found, the exact location? I know of someone who might be interested in taking a look in the area.
Enosh looks at everybody else.
Can do sense motive to see if this is a trustworthy guy with this information.
Yeah. You would feel so. I mean, he did basically save you all from spending 15,000 gold pieces worth of diamond dust.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The item was found on Merciless Way South, Bridgefront. There's an old manor there. It has some sort of containment unit below it that was housing this item, preventing it from being looked upon.
And an old temple to Desna.
And there's a cult there.
And a lot of spider silk that's used to make shiver.
Shoot, I forgot to bring them food.
It's been a single day.
Yeah. Maybe Dalbor has connections. If I give you some gold, you could just send somebody the address just with some food, right?
I'm sure somebody's going to be going there anyhow.
There's a couple of people who are going to die in a few days if they're not cured because they've got these, like, bug things in them that are going to, like, mature and burst out of their bodies.
There's also still an active haunt there.
Yeah, in a room.
Dalibor's writing all this down so that he can
I'll give you some gold for the food. I'm sure they'd be happy with whatever.
Dalbor nods.
So yeah,
I would say
Now I would like only tea. Tea and silence.
welcome on in, Raiders. We're going to get to the raid connection in just a second. We're going to finish up this video. Thank you, Booms. Welcome on in, everybody. Give me 1 second here. I would ask you if you would mind. Are you taking that with you?
It's a liability, honestly.
It is.
So, if you'd like to take it, just motions to it.
I think it needs to be put in a place where it can't be watched from. Just
Don't touch it physically.
no. No. I already. He looks at all of you and like realizes that you guys aren't super stupid. We already know he is coming. He's already been watching many of us. Those of us who can stand up to him. I say nothing more, for he may be watching now. With that here, he certainly can be.
Glad to hear you've got it covered.
We don't. That is the reason I was seeing if he would like to stay and help
Let's
us.
go save. Let's go save Madame Carrington and then answer that.
Yeah.
It is your decision. But the more hands we have, the safer the citizens of all of Erizia will be safe.
Fair.
But if I recall,
May
this isn't your Verzia.
I ask you a question?
Nods.
Is Sandpoint still here?
As far as I understand. I believe Sandpoint still exists. Unless, of course, we fail. So there we go. That is the clip from Stolen Souls that happened last week. Dalibor making a little cameo and tying in because things that those party members found came on over here. We are missing one today, so hopefully Jeremy's okay and all is well, and we will see him on the next installment of the Claimers Conquest. With that being said, welcome on in, Raiders. Thank you so much for being here. Today's Tabletop RPG Day. This was going to be yesterday, but we pushed stuff to today. Next week will be Wednesday again, and then every Wednesday is Tabletop RPG Day. So welcome on in. Thank you for the raid. Booms, I hope you had a great stream, had a lot of fun. I appreciate you being here. And with that being said, guys, go and give Booms a follow. And I'm going to let Andrew take over and kind of catch us up.
So, with the recap of Stolen Souls, the last that happened for these characters were they were working through various means and ends to preparing themselves and the city for what was to come, tying off loose ends where they could. He's got me beat.
He does got you beat.
40 months.
40 months. I think he was the first one, too.
We started last game with Dalibor, Arabella, Sephi, Miles, Naveen all together reconnecting about where they were, what they were doing, and reacting to a miracle that happened at the Great Tower. Arabella shared some disconcerting news about Sutherland's apprehension or his lack of conviction in facing the Rune Lord, alone at least. Dalibor shared the stubbornness of the Shamati, to be expected, but also a strange medical revelation with Larissa. Miles shared the sounds and sights and visions he had camping out in the subterranean chamber overnight. And Naveen shared an accounting of where the militia and army was as it stands today. After which, Dalivor and Naveen both ended up going, spending some time at the Bank of Abadar. Naveen spent time with her family. Maybe not downtime, but certainly quality time. They enjoyed a nice lunch. Harry, her father, Katrina, her mother, and Elon, her younger brother, her kid brother. And Naveen was looking for something to get ears on the city and keep tabs on it. And she found that there was some gossip within the bank that served as information in and of its own. Terroristic threats from a juvenile goblin, likely by the name the Sploder, where he was sending picture threats of him threatening to blow up the bank unless he got money signed. Dalibor, meanwhile, went to meet with Tuttle and had a discussion, a hard discussion. Tuttle seems very bent on protecting the finances of the rich, and sees the war as an investment opportunity as opposed to a fight for survival. And he revealed the liquid funds available in the bank, which was information that would be helpful to Dalibor since he has an idea of what is in the city's treasury. In total, the two together are about 500,000 gold worth. Dalibor shared some of his visions with Abadar and found solace in Tuttle's reaction, not for the fact that Tuttle was being particularly comforting, but for the fact more that Dalibor knew what happened and knew what was true, and the fact that Tuttle seemed to think it wasn't possible lent it all the more that Dalibor was that much more special in the faith. We pick up this game continuing our series of scenes. However, this particular scene takes us to the studious, reclusive mage, Arabella, who finds herself nose down in tomes and books, studying within the lost Thessalonian monument, the Sunken Queen, the seat of the enchantress rune lord Sortian's power, and the holding place of the massive blood pool, the Everdawn pool. The blood pool, while once roiling and churning is now placid and still. And Arabella seeks to find a way to utilize it in their fight against Karzug the Claimer. It is her Manhattan Project, which is why we look at this phase and we call it, quite simply, this scene is Arabellenheimer. Arabella, you have all of the books splayed out, numerous books all over the floor. You have a couple researchers provided from the Arcana Circle that are assisting you. Though you really take lead in this.
Mm-hmm.
You've discovered some information already. And what you know is you discovered a description that the Everdawn pool reacts to blood, but not just any blood, specifically prepared blood of an apex spellcaster. Iliosa in this entry bemoans that she and Togamore have neither the alchemical skills nor spellcasting power to perform such a feat, and that she must outsource the preparation of all the blood to an external party. She has the Seneschal, Togamore, contact Ramoska Arkmenos, a previous employee and contact of the Remnants. She does not have much of the details on how he has prepared the blood outside of stating that she knows he uses some sort of powdered onyx and an alchemical process of some kind. However, she does mention that the good is transferred and communication is held both via magical means. You should already have that information
Yep.
included.
Yep, I have that.
You continue your studies.
Yep. I am Arabella is gonna cast Mind Blank on the people that are here. Because of her paranoia.
Okay.
Including Majenko and so it's creature touch.
How many mages do you have for your highest level?
Oh, for my followers?
Yep.
I believe it's 6. And I believe
Creature touch does not mean that you can split it between all of them. If it is creature touch, it is one creature you touch.
Yep.
So
I understand that.
you would need 8 slots if you have all 6 of your mages here.
Well, I'll just do it on Majenko.
Okay.
And then Undead Auntie.
Okay.
And I already had it cast on myself. But I'll tell them the prepare non-detection.
Okay. Two of them are able to aid you in this research.
Okay.
And so you get a +4 from them.
Okay.
You get your bonus that you had last time,
which was the +6. Or +5, and then I got a +1 from making one discovery, so a total of +6.
Yes, and the library gives you a +3. Unless you just had a +5 from before.
I had a +5 from my auntie and mom's library, +3 from Iliosa's library, so that was +5, and then I have a +1 from making one success, so a total of +6.
Okay, so then +6, and then you have 2 aids.
So +4.
Which is +10 in total.
And then
You can use in this research a knowledge arcana, a spellcraft, or use magic device. But I would say it is either the first two ones. Your scholars that are helping you do not have use magic device.
I'll use knowledge arcana. My spellcraft knowledge arcana are the same. And then I'm also going to use moment of prescience.
Okay. This will represent 8 hours of uninterrupted study.
76.
Okay. That is pretty good.
I hope so.
I hope so.
If I roll, I could maybe get an 80.
So you obviously beat the DC of this. You beat the check required for the library. And in doing so, you beat it by
Oh, I guess technically I could have had Majenko aid.
can only get 2 aids.
Oh, okay. He's guarding.
So you cannot. Oh. So now for how much you learn. Do you have 10 ranks in knowledge arcana at least?
Yes.
And it is a class skill?
Yeah.
Roll a d12 plus your intelligence modifier and add 7. And then get ready to take some notes.
24.
Okay. Oh, get ready. Yeah, get ready to take some notes. You're about to get info dumped.
All right. Just gonna open up a
So you see reading further over your next 8 hours of study that Iliosa complains about being limited in the nature of her arcane abilities to being able to activate the pool. She does a lot of complaining, actually.
Yeah.
Unsurprising. She states exploring ways to augment her personal power that may allow her blood to activate the pool. She writes that the pool reacts stronger to more potent blood, as her experiments show that there is more of a reaction to Togamore's prepared blood than her own. She theorizes that the pool will only truly unlock its secrets to those who have the ability to cast the highest tier of magic. This is impossible for Iliosa as a bard.
Mm-hmm.
A few weeks later, another entry shows that Iliosa has signed a contract allowing her to summon fiends and empower her own form. After experimenting, she learns that the summon ability for which she was granted imbued her blood with enough magical potency to activate the pool. She theorizes of other ways one might activate the pool, such as through the consumption of 9th level scrolls, though she notes her current financial obligations have made this way unfeasible. Attaining spell-like abilities, or perhaps fooling the ritual with the usage of magical devices. Her deal, however, allows her to strike 2 birds with 1 stone. next thing you get is that Iliosa writes that the ritual they have partially discovered and partially developed is time consuming. And it requires extreme concentration. Awakening the pool requires weaving of magic over a 12-hour period, using the prepared blood and other components, and culminates with a test of magic, a spellcraft check. Such magic imbues the pool with a fraction of power. In her testing, it seems the pool only has capacity to hold 25 such infusions of power at a time without expending some of the pool's power. She theorizes that the quest for immortal life is one such expenditure of power, but is done over a span of time not less than 100 charges of power within 1 year.
And it does, so I'm understanding a charge of power would be a completion of their 12-hour ritual.
Yes.
Okay.
So that would be 100 12-hour increments. That's a lot of time spent at the pool.
Yeah. But if you're immortal.
And the last thing you get with your 8 hours of study is you begin to find complex diagrams, notes, and equations all throughout her collection that note the procedures of a magical ritual. However, you can make an arcane.
Do I get the +6?
No.
41.
It's through your own innate understanding of rituals and your study on them. Although I don't believe you've ever cast one. Rituals are ways that people without magic can cast magic. And frequently they have effects that could be greater than many spells of their equivalent level. But there's risk, there's time, and there's usually cost involved with it. These disparate notes that you're picking apart are pieces of a ritual, the ritual she mentions earlier in her notes. But it is extremely complex and it is extremely dense. Typically, if you were to learn this ritual without these notes, it would take somewhere between 9 weeks and 9 months to learn. With the notes, it will take you 9 days. Because this is a 9th level ritual. At the end of this period, it will require you to make an intelligence check.
Does it have to be 9 consecutive days?
It does not.
Is Arabella able to discern if because I know, because rituals are typically for people without well, people without magic can cast them.
Yeah.
And with her doing this ritual, well, I guess in the summon ability, she had the ability to have the the 9th level type of spell casting. If Arabella had the capacity to cast 9th level spells, would that decrease the amount of time to learn the ritual?
No, it would simply make you capable of doing the ritual.
Got it. So it's a prereq, not a.
You
Not a
wouldn't
word.
even be able to. You wouldn't even be able to perform the ritual successfully if you weren't able to, which is why she had to go through all the hoops she did.
And for clarification, the ritual is to prepare the blood, or the blood needs to be prepared first, and then you learn the ritual.
You don't actually know. You know that the blood is a part of the ritual somehow, but you don't know how it's used.
Do I know how it's prepared?
How good is your alchemy?
Probably non-existent.
So what you can tell with it is that the preparation of the blood and the way Iliosa writes about it, it looks alchemical in nature, which she does not see. Neither she nor Togomir seem to have had the ability to do so, to do anything with it. And she instead outsourced this to somebody else, which means that there's somebody else that potentially knows something about this pool out there in the world, this Ramoska.
Yeah. Which they might need to be taken care of. So therein lies an issue. And was I able to glean if they did well, I guess. So they were studying the ritual while the blood was probably being prepared, killing two birds with one stone, sort of.
Wow. You're speaking of Iliosa?
Yeah.
It looks like it was they had to develop part of the ritual. It looks like it was not complete prior to Iliosa's presence here in the Sunken Queen. So she was learning some steps from the Rune Lord of the past, but also developing her own way of doing this, which is likely even more time consuming than learning a ritual off of these very complete notes.
Yeah. And time is of the essence. Okay. I think what Arabella is going to do is we're going to start learning the ritual.
Okay.
At some point, she's going to want to send Ascending to Sutherland to see about meeting again, or to do a virtual type of communication. She has a Scriball. He's open to that. But I think
so. Each day you're doing this ritual will take out 8 hours of your day.
yeah. I'm I'm just trying to think about order of operations, but I think because we have how many days before the ball?
It's like 2. It's on Fire Day.
So after the first 8 hours, that's when I would theoretically want to send Sullivan ascending. And then I think I'll spend 2 8-hour days studying the pool after that, because that's the 3 days.
Yeah, I
She
think
would
this
be
is the same day, I think, as the wow. This would be your first day studying would be overnight the same day as the miracle. So you have 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 days.
and I don't know how long the alchemy process is going to take. Do the notes with the alchemy, well, they don't have any notes about the alchemy process.
Uh
Because I'm like, even if I decide to include Delbar, I don't know what I can give him other than these notes.
if in studying the ritual you could learn a little bit more. There is a little bit more that you haven't read in Iliosa's notes, but you're not sure what that would yield, and that would be another 8 hours.
I have other mages there that are not aiding me.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna have one of them start transcribing the portions of the notes that talk about the alchemy.
So you are spending your first day looking for anything in the notes that are speaking of the alchemical process.
I'm delegating.
You need to be present in this process, because you need to learn everything. Once you've learned it, you can then dictate it to your apprentice, your research assistants, and they can transcribe that, but you need to be present for all of this.
And yeah, I'm gonna focus on the alchemical part just because I know how long the ritual part's gonna take, and the alchemical part, I don't know if I can do that on my own.
Right.
I need to know how long it's gonna take me if I have to outsource it.
So, to do this, I will want you to roll a spellcraft.
Okay, I'll cast Moment of Prescience on myself again.
And this is actually this would be a different you would well you'd be using the same spell slots because you haven't gotten to prepare your spells again.
That's fine. I have 9th level slots. 70.
You make it.
And that's without the library bonuses.
You
or
don't
the
get the
aids.
library bonus for learning the ritual.
Okay.
But you make it in spades. This counts as your first success. You need 8 more successes to learn this ritual. Or yeah. And then an intelligence check at the end. What you get is a material component. It is alchemically prepared blood of a spellcaster able to cast 9th level spells serrated with onyx worth 500 gold pieces. Are you untrained in craft alchemy?
Yeah.
The best you know is serrate. Serrate is some sort of alchemical process you've heard Dalibor talk about. when he talks shop, but you really you don't know what it is, how to do it, and it's like it's an engineer that's listening to medical doctor terminology. It doesn't, the knowledge doesn't translate.
Okay. I guess my second question is if I'm doing keep watch, does that, I'm assuming I can just only do 8 hours at in one day span, right?
Each ritual is 8 hours.
Okay. Material component. I don't know how much gold I have. And I don't even know how long this process would take.
Nope.
I do have enough onyx. Okay. Well, I will send Dalibor ascending at some point as well.
Dalibor, you're gonna get us. If is this gonna be as soon as you finish this ritual,
Yeah, I guess
or
when
as
I
soon as you
finish,
finish studying the ritual for the day?
yeah, as soon as I finish studying the ritual for the day, I guess, do I know if I have the information consolidated in a way that I could give him that information without giving him the notes?
Dalibor is really good at alchemical processes, so if you feel pretty confident in your time adventuring with him, if you've told him the alchemical process and the tool and the and the components, he would probably be able to figure it out.
And what was the process again called?
Cerate. It's in the alchemy manual for those who are interested.
Gotta think about what I'm gonna say. I'm working on a project requires an alchemical ceration of blood and onyx. That's 13. Are you willing to do the work? 18. Keeping this secret uh, so nothing slips. I think that's all my words that I can use.
Dalibor, you are on a very similar schedule to Arabella biologically right now, in that you don't sleep anymore or haven't slept in days.
Yeah.
And are using keep watch. So you would be conscious at the time of receiving this message, albeit you may or may not be doing something. I'm sure you are doing something.
Probably that's the reason I'm not I'm keeping watch.
Yeah. You are free to respond.
I don't have to respond immediately, correct? I believe in the past we've gotten responses minutes later.
You do have to answer immediately.
Okay. I would have to spend a moment to think about what would need to be done, but I am always willing to help you out. That's 25. And then he's going to think about what she's asking him and try and figure out what it is that she's asking.
So she mentioned serration. Did you mention the onyx?
Onyx and blood.
Rachel? Onyx and blood. You can roll a craft alchemy.
Where am I currently? Am I in the shop with my
You
alchemy
would be
supplies, or
probably in your alchemy lab because it is
late
twilight hours of the morning.
Okay. $60.
Wow. You think about it for about 30 seconds and you serration. I have to pull up my alchemy manual, but I believe that's that's the heating process for materials, which would require you to grind down onyx to a dust, heat it. She mentioned blood. So what you're looking to create would be a grainy black paste almost.
Okay. What could I think it would be? What would something like that be used for?
Onyx, well, you could Onyx, you rolled a 60. Onyx is very frequently used in necromantic magic. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
So is blood.
it's a component. Blood is also a necromantic component, although it can be used for other things, certain evocation magics.
Yeah. Tracking.
Tracking, right? You're guessing that these two things together are some sort of component.
Okay.
You're creating a valuable material component.
Okay. I believe. Let me check before.
But the fact that it's double necromancy and it's using blood, indicating it's also blood magic, means.
Yeah, but this
I
is
mean,
Arabella,
you're
so
not
that's nothing.
you're not super dumb. You've seen you've seen you've seen where you were at the finale of
Yeah.
of
And I
Curse
know
of the
she had
Crimson
intents to
Throne.
go over there and
you know, and she told you she had interests in the pool.
Yeah.
You can put two and two together that this is a component related to that pool.
Okay.
But how it's used,
Well, I mean, everything's off the table. We've got a Rune Lord coming, so if she figures it out, great. If she dies, then we're all fucked. I will send a sending back, a new sending, because I have 2 of them. Does it need to be your blood, or can it be anyone's blood? If you need me to come to the pool, let me know, and I can come immediately. Because I haven't used my boots yet today.
I would give you this also with a 60 related to the alchemical process. Because you're mixing stone to blood, you would need to do this in an extremely small batch, which would make the process very difficult.
Okay.
Not something you couldn't you couldn't perform, but a process that many alchemists probably would not be capable of pulling off.
Okay. Then I will rephrase it saying that I will need my lab to do it.
Yeah.
Instead of saying I will come there immediately, I will just say it is a process that needs to be done at the lab because I'm skeptical on whether or not I can do it, essentially.
With the keep watch and having the day of studying, do I know if I cast teleport, will that negate my keep watch? I.e.,
Your
I
keep
pop
watch
on.
is done. You spent 8 hours researching, and you spend 8 hours
That's right.
you spend 8 hours studying the ritual, so it's like more early morning now.
So Arabella will say, my blood is would be the preference. Unless you want the dumb blonde girl controlling the pool. Because technically, she doesn't say that though.
I mean,
I'll
she
be
might.
over.
This is Arabella.
Yeah, I guess technically she could.
She wouldn't
But
mean
then we
anything.
never-
She wouldn't mean anything by it either. You know, she'd just say it.
I'm sure that would end up poorly.
Your
I'll be
words
over.
are out.
It's okay. He said it to Dalibor, so he's pretty forgiving on that kind of stuff.
I mean, I don't know. She would probably say it to, yeah.
Yeah, but you didn't.
Okay. So Arabella and Majenko are gonna leave the pool. And I'm gonna teleport to the Golden Key.
As you can't do it from the pool. You have to go out into the swamp and teleport from there because the Sunken Queen is warded. As you go out, roll perception for both you and Majenko.
Oh god.
It's the end of the world as we know it.
Well, this is where my amazing rolls. That's Arabella's, which is decent for her.
Majenko's probably gonna spot this.
Yeah, 30 for Majenko.
Oh, actually. Majenko definitely sees this.
Okay, good.
He looks into the swamp, and I'm gonna say this because you beat it based on your distance, but based off of distance. Arabella, it seems like there's a light in the swamp, in this, like it's like pre-dawn hours, so there's not much light out yet, but you see a swamp in like an illumination in the swamp that you are unable to pinpoint its location. Just a glow within the boughs of the trees and through the trunks of the dark swamp. Majenko is able to pick it up more keenly. He sees a creature that looks like a humanoid skeleton with a complete set of internal organs. There is a violet glow that replaces its missing flesh. A token of it looks like this.
Stuff.
Your mouth.
Majenko's gonna point that out there, Bella. Can Arabella roll it if Majenko points it out? Can she see it?
You can see it.
Knowledge check.
Planes.
Meep.
Now, as you're both looking at it, it shifts out from behind the tree slightly, and you can tell it is walking through the swamp.
39.
You recognize this. This creature is known as a burleave. Burleaves are planar explorers created by the power of Nethys. Some are his mortal petitioners assigned to this role after their death by a deliberate act of the god, whereas others are hapless visitors who were transformed by proximity to Nethys or certain parts of his realm. They serve as his eyes and ears on many planes. And you can see its skeletal gaze is looking directly at you.
Arabella will take a couple steps forward.
You float down a little bit.
Yeah.
It's pretty far. It's a couple 100 feet away. It's like it's past the pond that's the sunken queen is sinking into, and a little bit into the tree line of the
Okay.
swamp.
She'll fly towards she'll fly closer, but slow. So that it's, I don't know. However you can fly where you're not flying in for an attack, but try to be casual.
It as you initially float towards it, it doesn't do anything, and as you continue approaching it, it steps backwards slowly.
Okay. She'll slow. Are you here to speak to me?
It does not respond. If you'd like to know things, have questions about this creature, you get 5 things.
I guess, can it communicate? Is it telepathically? Yeah, what's its ability to communicate?
It speaks languages: abyssal, celestial, draconic, protean.
Draconic, what was it? Draconic, celestial.
Abyssal and protean.
That is pretty funny. Oh, I do know Protean though. She'll switch to Protean. And she'll say, "Do you wish to speak or are you simply here to observe?"
It does not respond to, well, make a diplomacy check. Jesus. You see it pauses for a long time, and you get the sense it doesn't want to talk to you. But there's the 3-second pause that you just stare expectantly at it, and it responds in Protean, "We watch." And your eyes kind of trail, and you see another light. Another light. Another light. Another. Another. Until you see 6 glowing specters in the swamp.
Well, as long as we stay friendly, I am fine with keeping to our own business. Maybe you could give him my regards.
And with your knowledge of these things, you know that you could probably destroy all of them.
Yeah. But like, I guess with my 5 things, like I know that they're not necessarily, if they're here to observe, they're just here to watch.
You know that these are the eyes and ears of Nethys.
So she's not going to interfere.
That they are here in number watching you, a cabal of them, because they are interested in what you are doing here.
Mm-hmm.
And by extension, it means that Nethys is interested in what you are doing here.
Well, she'll just nod because Airball is also not one for conversation and she's kind of busy. So she'll just say, "I'll be back," and then go
Okay.
fly off the teleport.
You teleport. Greater?
Yeah. And she'll kind of just make a note of that. And she'll just teleport inside the golden key. probably in the room where her library, I'm assuming, still is right now.
Yep.
You know that there is one person who would probably know a little more about these things and just in general about them than even probably you would.
Yeah,
But
Celisar.
whether or not you have the time to deal with that right now. You appear at the Golden Key.
Let's see, what spells do I have? What room are you gonna? She'll walk out and just look for Dalibor, and
You
then not even.
teleport into your old library here, and you just start walking around. And as you step out of the library, you see originally it looks like Dalibor. And as you walk up and you're like, hey, you see it turns around and it's Dalivor. And he's got a clipboard and he looks at you and he's like, when did you get here?
Just now. Where's Dalibor?
He's in the lab.
Okay.
Oh. And actually, of course, we have a map for this location.
We do.
Let's see. Oh.
She's gonna look at him too and be like, once I go in there and he's working on my project, only you and him should be in that lab.
Wait, what? She turns around.
She says this as she is walking down the hall and opens the door into the lab.
Yeah. And then, like, as soon as she like walks into the lab, she's gonna hold up a finger, and then start casting Mage's Private Sanctum in here. Because I think that lasts a while.
You see, she starts the process of casting a 10-minute spell, Dalibor.
Okay. I call my dad in and tell him to get Kegger 2. And I tell the workers out front that are probably just showing up to start their shift, that if there's anything special, just to take a note, and we'll be with them later.
Okay.
That we're all going to be busy and not to interrupt.
Oh, there we go.
So he will get Kegger too.
As Kegger can aid.
Let's see if I have him here. Yes, I do.
Oh, that's funny. Their icons look very similar. It's like, wait, which one is which?
You see Kegger come storming in.
You love it. I don't even know where I found that, but
He stomps in, and Dalivor just looks at Arabella, and Kegger looks at Arabella, and then they share looks as Arabella is casting quietly and holding her finger up for nobody to talk, being kind of rude and, demanding as usual.
Yep.
And you finish your spell.
Okay.
And at Dalibor, you feel this whoosh go over the lab. And the sounds outside of all the people that are working and moving backwards and forwards through the hallway, and the talk and chatter, and even the sounds outside of Corvosa, the crows of roosters, the tromping of horses through the cobble street nearby, and the occasional grumble of a drunk who wanders too far north into the nice end of town before being apprehended. All of it just gone. And it's like you're in a sensory deprivation chamber for sound with only the sensations in this room.
Wow.
This is essentially the same spell that's in the bathroom at the castle. So nobody can hear what we're doing in here. We can't be scryed on. And it's going to last for 24 hours.
Out of character, before we continue, did I already drop off that item in the bathroom? Because I would have done that pretty much immediately. You're muted.
You're muted.
We're going to say it is not an issue right now.
Okay.
Unless you want it to be. Either they haven't given it to you yet, or you already dropped it off, one way or another.
Okay. Yeah, I don't want it in here. That would have been the first.
Then it is not in here. It is one or the other of those two.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. So, do you have more details, or is that pretty much all of it?
Arabella knows it. I have more context.
Let's hear the
Probably
context. He gets out like chalkboard, notebook, and paper, and explains kind of to Dalavor, we're going to do a very complicated process. I'm going to need an extra like 20 sets of hands.
I'm working on studying the pool. Ever since we found out about Karzug, I've been under a spell called Mind Blank. So he has not been able to scry on me. What Miles said was the other group's biggest downfall was that Karzug has been able to study them and learn about them. I think the pool might be something he doesn't know about, and I want to keep it that way. And I don't think he knows that much about me.
So I haven't been making other alchemical things like bombs and such for that same exact reason. Sticking to alchemist fires and things like that keep him guessing. However, I have a potion that's been protecting me, but it's nowhere near what you have. I've been giving it to my father every day as well.
Mm-hmm. I've been having Ashani cast non-detection on himself as well, and trying to take as much precautions. So why I'm very secretive about this. I discovered the ritual to be able to connect to the pool.
Okay.
And there are limitations on the blood, and you have to have a certain spellcasting ability, which I have. So if we can take my blood, and I have the onyx,
so you're essentially just needing a component, yes? That's what I'm
yes.
understanding. That's what I figured. And you're looking for some sort of a paste. In the end, it will be a black, coppery color.
I believe so. The note specifically said the process was
Ceration.
ceration.
Did it say anything else? Any other notes or anything that I might need? Anything, any words you might not have understood or not know alchemically?
Andrew, correct me if I'm wrong, but that was the only one.
That was the only one you had because Iliosa didn't know anything about the alchemical process that was used in doing this. She had some other expert.
Iliosa outsourced this to a Red Mantis or former employee of the Red Mantis, and they did the work on it. I have their name. I don't know if it's wise to contact them. I don't think it is. I think you're probably smarter than they are.
I just want to make sure that I don't miss something, that there isn't something that they did that I don't know about.
Well, if it makes you feel better, I have to study this ritual and it's going to take me 8 days to complete without the blood.
But with the blood, it will be faster?
No, the blood is the final component.
Ah. Do you think you'll find
So-
out more about what you need in the process?
Potentially.
So we don't need to do this right now.
I didn't know how long it would take you. I think the sooner we have this done, the better, but
If you find out more, do you have Onyx enough to do it a second time? Okay.
I don't think I'm going to find out more because she outsourced it and she doesn't know anything about alchemy in her notes.
Right.
So, and I will give him the name of the person. I mean, I can try to do a discern location on them to find them, but
I'm pretty sure the Red Mantises are already not happy at us. If we just show up at their doorstep asking questions, I think that's asking for trouble.
yeah.
As she mentions the name Ramoska Arkminos,
That
I'd
does
like
sound
both
familiar.
of you to make intelligence
It's
checks.
like, that
here.
sounds familiar.
$19.
Just straight intelligence?
Yep.
28.
Wow.
There's a reason it
We
sounds
are
familiar.
Dalibor, you definitely remember this person because you've met them. And Arabella, as you see the realization on his face, it's like you get this empathic epiphany off of Dalibor as your minds like almost brainstorm off of each other. Dalibor, you remember first, though, Ramoska Arkminos, you remember him because he introduced himself to you. But he was not an ally. He was involved in the development of the Blood Veil Plague. He was a very powerful vampire you met in the blessed hospice of the Maiden. He was experimenting on a Varisian actor
Yep.
looking for, I don't know if he divulged his exact research, but you ended up fighting him and he fled.
Yep. Wasn't he a Nosferatu
He was.
vampire?
He was.
Nick still doesn't really remember a whole heck of a lot about that. Did he leave stuff behind? Like, might there be notes where we fought him?
At this point, there probably wouldn't be anything left where you fought him. It's been months since then.
This was the first adventure. Well, it was where Larissa kind of came in when we were fighting the daemon and we pitted the daemon against the other lady.
Oh yeah, yeah, the one that we probably shouldn't have. Somehow we
Survived.
Yeah, we survived, but we probably shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we
Yes,
killed
he
somebody
was
that wasn't
somebody that-
necessarily supposed to be killed.
He was, well, yeah, you killed him, you defeated him, but he's a vampire, so you didn't like end him.
Yeah,
But he was somebody that was definitely not intended to be beaten at your level.
right.
He
Wasn't he from Ustalov?
was from Ustalov.
Because I thought we found maybe that's where I got my coin, was from him.
Well,
Because I have that luck coin. I don't think we want to talk to him though.
I agree. Well, let's try and do this process real quick. Are you here? Were you going to help?
I was gonna provide you my blood.
Okay.
I could send a Shawnee over the help. I don't.
Yeah, I don't think he has like he could help, but I don't
Yeah.
think he would be that much of a help, even without the knowledge of the alchemical processes. You're still going to be much more of an aid. I.e., you can probably still make the check to aid another, even if you roll
Yeah.
poorly because you have a high int.
I think
Yeah.
Shawnee actually has craft alchemy though.
Oh, does he?
He does. Yeah, because that was my second option, but it's just not as good.
I think between Kegar, my father, and yourself, as long as the sleep doesn't get to me, I should be fine. We should be able to do this. If you'd like to bring Ashani over, then hopefully he can get here quickly.
Maybe let's just do it. I don't want to put him in danger.
Sounds good. Then let's get started. And we'll start working on the process.
So it's going to be a craft check for you, and it is 500 gold worth, which is 5,000 silver worth of the craft skill.
So I have the Onyx. I also have Fabricated the spell. Can that just be? I thought with Fabricate you could just if stuff needed to be crushed, you could do it with that.
Yeah, you can turn the onyx into dust.
Yeah. So we don't have to sit there and chip stone.
All right. First things first. Let's see if Kegar actually contributes to this. Actually, that should be a 5. He does. Delavore cannot fail in aid check.
I will count the fabricate spell as an auto aid as well.
Okay. So the fabricate, I get a +2. Kegar, I get a +2. My dad has gloves. That gives me a +5 instead of a +2. And Arabella, are you aiding? Or are you just watching?
I guess I can roll the 8 if I could do that and the Fabricate.
This is something that will probably take time. So fabricating can aid quickly, but if you want to go off and you're going to do other things, then you cannot stick around.
So is it gonna take?
Oh, actually, isn't craft trained only?
It's got a star next to it. So it's just like intimidate, fly, escape artist, disguise, bluff, sense motive. I don't think so. Yeah, I think anybody can do a craft. Because knowledges aren't.
Okay.
Knowledge is
no,
you need to
is
have
not.
it.
To give you an idea of how long craft takes, typically the checks are resulting in 1 week's worth of work.
Nope.
Yes, but I am.
You need to spend.
But I
you
have
might-
the feat for the alchemist where it turns it.
You might, yeah. So you might be able to have it happen faster. But Arabella, at least 8 hours of every day is accounted for if you are trying to progress the ritual as quickly as you can.
Okay, then I will change my mind and I will send Ashani. I'll message Ashani and have him come over to help Dalibor if he can.
Yeah, because this should take like an hour at most. Because I think my stuff goes from silver pieces to craft to gold.
Okay.
For the and my DC check is like halved. I can look up the exact details, but and technically, if I make it right, I make up to my int worth of the materials I make, so I can make up to 8 in the process.
8 doses of it.
Well, plus 8, so 9. Provided we have the components to do it. So if you think you want more than one,
Yeah, we could do 2.
You can do up to 9.
Well, I mean, I have 1,000 gold of onyx.
okay.
You know, 1 charge of this ritual is 500 gold.
Right. So we could do 2 charges.
Yeah. And then from there, you will need to get more onyx.
Yep.
I'm checking to see if I have onyx.
Yeah, Shawnee's playing kicking the ball.
Kicking of the ball.
And he's trying to clear out drugs.
Oh, here's my list of stuff. Oh, so much. Diamond, 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 ruby, ruby, diamond, diamond dust. No onyx.
I mean, I have other materials or
It's the Master Alchemist feat, by the way.
well, if it will only take an hour, then Arabelle will aid. If it's going to be something where it's 8 hours, then she will not.
Yeah, so you use it as the gold piece value instead of the silver, and you don't multiply it by 10 to determine the silver piece cost. It's just a flat whatever.
So it'd be 500 gold is the amount. If you're going by gold instead of silver. And the DC is I'm not going to say what the DC is.
Do not multiply the item's gold piece cost by 10 to determine its silver piece cost. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're not using silver, you're just using gold. So 500 is the number you're trying to go for.
Yep. And I can make a number of doses equal to my intelligence modifier. Oh, when making poisons.
And then what does it say about the time?
No additional time required for extra doses, but it does increase the raw cost. But then you just use the standard rules. So because I'm using the thing, you divide it by half, and then you divide it by half by every time you defeat the thing. So if I defeat it like 30 times, then it's divided, the amount of time is divided by 30 or whatever. So if I defeat it by whatever the X amount is, it gets cut in half. And if I defeat it by it again, it gets cut in half again. The time does. And I thought
So
there was
you
something
base-
for being an alchemist. Alchemist cuts down the time too, I thought, just being the class. It got to the point eventually where it wasn't a big deal, so we just didn't really go over it anymore.
Okay.
Let's
So we
see
can make
here.
progress by the day. What is your bonus at the moment?
My straight flat bonus is a plus 30, not including anything else that I get when I'm in the lab.
And with all your
Or
other,
bonuses for actually crafting, because I get a plus 11 to craft
and
alchemical
this
items.
is you are crafting.
So that would be
an
a plus 41.
And does that include your lab plus your aids?
No.
What are those?
The lab is another plus 2. And
the
then
fabricate is a +2.
Fabricate is a plus 2. Kegger is a plus 2. Dalavor is a plus 5. If Ashani's helping, that's another plus 2.
No, I don't think Ishani can be pulled away from the things that he's doing right now. He's doing a lot of different things.
Okay. So just count the fabricate as our Bell's aid. Because I don't think, I don't know, hopefully I'm wrong, but I don't think her +2 is going to make all that big of a difference. It's going to be more important for her to try to get another piece of the ritual done. Because we don't know if we even have 9 days.
Yeah. Trying to find. I thought that there was something where swift alchemy. At 3rd level, an alchemist can create alchemical items with astounding speed. It takes an alchemist a half the normal time to create alchemical items. So it's already cut in half before I increase it with the check.
Okay.
Oh, instant alchemy. Oh, I'm not that high. I won't ever be that high. There's one called instant alchemy where it's just a full round.
I think you have all the bonuses you're going to get now.
All right, are we ready?
Mm-hmm.
Don't
Yep.
make me run downstairs, roll 20 to get my chip.
Your hot chip.
No, my my reroll chip. I'm getting a reroll chip. I'll be right back.
Thank you. Roll 20 for you, Millie.
Buddy.
But I have the option. Here it is.
Hooray.
I knew that was going to happen because I've rolled, 2 or 3 20s? 2 20s and a 19 already today? Much better.
67. Okay. So I think the way I do this is this times the DC to make it times 2. Nope. What do I do? And then it's divided by the days in the week. But then it's times 2 because it takes.
Whew. I tried to run really fast.
This is a very difficult. This is very difficult to create because you are creating it in such. You are dealing with a single drop of blood and 500 gold worth of onyx. So to create it, to distill it down to a paste, means you have to dilute that liquid throughout the onyx far enough that it saturates the entire amount of onyx without, well, keeping the potency of the blood without diluting it. And it requires this process to be done under heat. So it sort of melts it together into this paste. It's extremely time consuming. It's extremely difficult. There are probably only a handful of alchemists in the inner sea that are capable of doing it. And it takes you a day.
Well,
A day like 8 hours of work day, or 24
8 hours
hours with no
8
sleep?
hours of work day.
Okay.
Typically, it only takes you maybe about an hour to create most alchemical
Right.
items.
And we made 2?
Made 2.
yay.
You know that these components, because of how fragile they are, they will need to be preserved carefully. Because there's blood involved, a gentle repose will be able to keep them fresh.
What if they're in like a bag of holding or whatever? Does that keep them?
It would slow the degradation process somewhat, but not stop it like
Okay.
a gentle repose would.
Okay. I'll do ascending to let Arabella know that it's done and that it needs gentle repose constantly until it's needed. Unless you
Okay.
have another process to keep it.
Yeah, gentle repose is fine because that lasts days a caster level. So hopefully for the one at least we've used it before. So probably when he sends ascending, Arabella would come back after the next bout of her 8 hours, pick up the stuff, and then leave again.
So you will get 2 more research. You will get 2 more checks for your learning the ritual, spellcraft checks. And in addition, if you wish to refer to learn the rest of the notes that Iliosa had in her library, you can do that as well.
Okay.
But you're only getting the ritual studying once per day.
Okay. All right. So, and the ritual studying, I don't get the +6 and the 8s, correct?
Correct.
Oh, then let's change. So first ritual study. Second.
Okay.
And then the notes, that's where I get the +10.
Yes. You get another +1 on top of that because you studied it again.
79 for the notes.
Roll me a d12 plus your int. It doesn't really matter because you're going to get everything out of this.
18.
With the last bit of studying out of Iliosa's notes, you learn it's great that you have the ritual and you know how to activate the pool, but you have no idea what actually happens when you use the pool. And that's kind of important. Iliosa writes in this section that now the Everdawn pool is powered, she bathed in it. And after 10 minutes, she felt a wash of power over her. She felt the severance that normally accompanies mind, will, and bodily fatigue repaired, and her stamina increased. What more, she notes that cuts to her body clot almost immediately, and that she wants not for food, drink, or air while submerged. Iliosalt additionally notes that there's a connection between the Everdawn pool and the Sunken Queen, and that she can extend her senses beyond the chamber it's housed in throughout all the rooms of the building. She can also circumvent the dimensional lock that is in place through the Sunken Queen.
And you said cures fatigue? Or she is not
Accompanies
fatigued?
mind, will, and bodily fatigue repaired. She felt the severance that normally accompanies mind, will, and bodily fatigue repaired, and her stamina increased.
And was that only while she was in the pool or after bathing in it?
It seems like the things that she mentions are in the pool are her senses extended, and she doesn't want for food, drink, or air.
Okay. Okie doke.
All right. And you have 2 more successes on the ritual, on learning the ritual.
Is there
So, is there anything specifically you'd like to learn with these 2 additional things?
Me as the player I haven't dealt with a lot of magical rituals in Pathfinder, so I don't really know.
Rituals have a um they have a casting time, they have components, a skill check to complete them, a range, a target, a duration, a backlash, which you automatically suffer no matter if you're successful or not, and a consequence if you fail.
Okay. I guess backlash would be
The next thing you get is the backlash. You know that casting this ritual exposes you to the pool and to the paint that is roiling within its surface. And upon completion of this ritual, you are exposed to blood veil. And you must make a fortitude save against it.
okay. Oh, that's helpful. Cast the time frame of the ritual.
Casting time
Yeah.
is 12 hours
Oh,
by a character capable of casting 9th level spells.
okay, which I kind of already knew, but yeah, that was a dumb question. Okay.
Right.
All right.
That is going to conclude Arabellenheimer. Naveen. You are called into court by the king.
Okay.
As you appear, he says to you, I know this isn't normally your purview, finances in the kingdom, but because of your position as general of our armies, I feel it would be valuable to have you aware of the financial needs and plans of the magisters of this city.
Okay.
We frequently meet with several of the magisters, Tuttle, Archbanker Tuttle, and Dalivor, as he is a part of my small council. Would you be willing to take part in this council meeting?
Yeah. I can try.
Back at the Golden Key. Dalibor, the next day you are approached by Dalivor, and he looks to you. You've given the alchemical reagents to the material components to Arabella, and it's been one thing after another.
Yeah, I'm probably
Your
getting
father
ready because I
comes-
haven't gotten to go talk to Jagari yet.
Your father looks at you with kind of a grave look on his face, and he says, my son, I know you are busy, but I have favor to ask of you.
Okay.
I trust your ability in finances and know that you recommend me to the king, but I am wondering if you can take place for me in today's meeting, today's small council meeting. It should be no big difficulty for you.
Yes, is
I
everything
have-
okay?
I hope so. I don't wish to worry you. I have important business that has recently come to light I must take care of. But I am very able to take care of.
Okay.
Make a sense motive. $30.
30.
You read your father well. He is nervous. You don't catch the look that he is in physical danger from whatever he's doing, but whatever it is that he is attending to makes him nervous. I'll say this, not necessarily physical danger. He's nervous but not afraid.
Was there maybe something you should let me know? Just in case.
He's your cohort and your father, and he loves you. But for this, I'm going to need you to roll a diplomacy to convince him.
Yeah. Hey, if he thinks he knows what's best. Oh, my diplomacy.
Because I'm assuming Dalibor wants to know what's going on.
Yeah, because he's worried. If he thinks his dad is nervous, then he's worried. Is he a citizen of Barbosa?
Technically, yes.
Is he a worshiper of Abaddon?
Yes, he is.
29.
Oh.
I've got no rerolls.
And you already used your reroll.
Well, I wouldn't have used it for this. It's still a 29 for crying out loud.
And he is your father.
Yeah. I get just as much penalties as he does, so that's probably why it washes even.
What's his charisma? Dalivor's.
Delavor? Delavor's charisma is a 20. Because again, I'm more merchant alchemist. He's more diplomat. Like, he's only got 13 ranks. I've got 17, and he's still better diplomacy than I am.
Nothing's going to happen, he says. And I will tell you, but telling you will not bring you peace of mind. In fact, I fear telling you will make you worry more. So, I ask you, my son, to trust I can handle this.
Dalibor just nods once. Okay.
He places a heavy hand on your shoulder, squeezing, though not hard enough to take the knots out of your shoulder, out of your neck. And he says, an emissary has arrived.
Take Harry if you need him.
An emissary from the Sortova family.
Don't forget your ring.
Let your papa handle this. He has spoken with them in times past. There are still relationships. There is still things I can explain.
All right. Again, if you need to take Harry with, take Harry with. It's your personal guard, after all. Or not. You know what's best. What time is the meeting with King?
Soon. Very soon, he says. You ought to get going. Looking at him with your previous sense motive, you can see that there's a little flash of regret in his eyes after he tells you, when he sees like you tense up and your breath catches in your throat. It's kind of like I wish I didn't tell him, but you deserve to know kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's he's very begrudging about it. You two know what that means.
Well,
this emissary means.
Yeah,
I mean, him more than you, but you.
Like, I know what the emissary is, but, like, are they here for us? Or are they here for something else? And he's just going to meet them.
You are thousands of miles away.
Did he contact them? Did they contact him? Did he not tell me he's been talking to them? What's going on? I trust him, though. We've got through everything so far. He knows what he's doing.
Ah.
It's an arranged marriage.
The two of you part ways and you go to the castle
Mm-hmm.
to take his place. As you arrive, many of the other magisters join. You arrive and you see Tuttle is there, the archbanker.
Mm-hmm.
Garrick Tan, the magister of taxes, is there. And Silgar, the magister of expenditures, is there. You also see Naveen is among them, which is you've never attended one of these council meetings before, so you're not sure if she is usually there or not.
Right.
But it is somewhat of a welcome surprise.
Yeah, I nod to Tuttle and to Naveen and to not the king, but I can't remember his the seneschal.
Helpopolis.
I won't do anything to the king unless, I'm following all protocols of everything.
Greetings, the king speaks. Magisters and trusted advisors. We're calling you here for this small council meeting. And the largest concern is the encroaching expenditure we have to protect our holdings. Mr. Tan, you have a proposition on a new tax for Corvosa. And Mr. Gar, you have another proposition. Neil Landis steps forward to kind of address everyone, and Garrick Tan steps forward and he says, I have my plan outlined in detail. However, first there is something of a nuisance I'd like to report to make sure it doesn't pass anybody's attention. Many of you are aware of the anti-governmental rhetoric that is being passed throughout some of the smaller and poorer areas of the city. However, it has taken a different turn. We are now seeing protests to our vice taxes, which are a crucial source of revenue for this city, and will be even more important with the dangers to come. He unfurls a piece of paper and he shows a flyer. Rachel, describe what this flyer looks like to everyone.
So it has, like, in big letters, DARE, and under it doesn't explain what the acronym is, but it says, say no to drugs. Drugs kill, what did I say? Drugs kill your dreams and take away your future. Dream big, don't do drugs. and then like a bunch of, and then Shy's symbol too is on there.
Symbol of a woman that is like the
Holding
last,
a-
or the A New Hope, or the Jedi that's like legs out, gun pointed
Air,
towards the sky.
and then a book, yeah, with magic coming out of it. So very
This-
flashy.
This may not seem important, but if our revenue drops for vice taxes, then it could severely hamper our efforts of stabilization. In addition, there are already extremists that are mobilizing in the street. I've had several reports from the Magister of Civic Order communicated that a lawbreaker by the name the Dare, he points at the Dare on the top of it, is pummeling tax-paying distributors. He furls the note up and he kind of is like waving his hands. Vice taxes make these sort of sales legal, and they are under the protection of Corvosan law and the city charter. We cannot allow this to continue. Kalpopoulos kind of waves his hands and says, "The floor is open for discussion."
What kind of orders do we do in keeping track of who pays their taxes and what they do? What kind of paper trail is there? I look at Darb because that's, if we can keep track of who they are and what they're doing and making sure they're following their orders, maybe they are doing things that they're not supposed to be doing as well. Perhaps there's a middle line to be drawn. Also, is this tax include protections from other people who disagree with their vices? Perhaps the taxes can go up to include that.
Magister Tan looks at you and says, the bank is not responsible for the bank is not responsible for the collection of taxes and documentation. The Department of Commerce is responsible for the collection of taxes and documentation of those who are paying their vice taxes.
Do I know who's in charge of that?
He is Garrick Tan, the man right next to you.
Okay. So then you know all of that information then, yes?
I do, and I know that people who are paying their vice taxes are being pummeled in the streets.
All right.
Has there been any investigation into these posters and who posted them? Seems out of the blue to start questioning the vice tax. There must be something new. Perhaps there is a new distributor who isn't paying their vice tax nor following the rules.
Darb steps up and he says, it would not be far beyond to believe that the anti-government printings and the vice tax printings could be connected. They are both symbols of disorder in the city. And the quantity in which they are appearing indicates that there is some sort of mass production occurring.
Considering the taxes that have been levied in the city already, there are very few who could afford that sort of expenditure.
Kelpopoulos looks to you for a mass-producing device such as that.
Mass producing device or paying for the supplies, especially if it's in the poorer neighborhoods.
Garrick looks at you, Naveen, and then looks to you, Dalibor. We do have investigations that are underway. However, these things take time. And the moments we spend investigating, more terroristic acts are drawn out on our citizens.
Do you have a list of the people, the specific people who have paid their taxes, who are being attacked?
I do.
May I see them?
I do not have them with me, but I can have them forwarded to your store.
Look around the room. I suppose. So you brought accusations but no information? I'm not trying to attack you, my friend. I'm just trying to understand if this is important. I figured you would have more with you. So
I
that we
would
could
think
all
that
equally
my
look it over.
honor would not be questioned in such a way in court.
I am not questioning you. I said I am
You
not.
are
I'm just
questioning
curious.
me.
Okay. Then why are you getting so angry? You started all angry.
Because there is an issue, and the Department of Commerce is under attack. This attacks our city charter. You see Kelpopoulos sighs. Magister Tan, will you please tone down the theatrics?
It is hard to make an educated decision if we do not have accurate tools in front of us for which to translate. Maybe I don't understand, but you bring accusations of people being attacked, you bring proof, you bring information so we can make an educated decision as a group. Yes, maybe that is not what happens at these meetings. I'm just filling in. But as a person who is an alchemist, who has a shop making things, if they are mass producing it, they definitely should have the money to be paying a large amount of taxes. So whoever it is that is doing the mass producing should be paying those large amounts of taxes, which should be easy to have on the paperwork. Which I'm sure you have. Again, I'm first time here, my friend.
We don't know where these are being printed from.
Oh, I meant the drugs.
You know where they are being posted? Are they throughout the city or are they in a specific neighborhood?
They are centralized in Bridgefront.
So that would narrow down the search.
We have several guard reports of attacks that I can forward on. But we are still actively conducting an internal investigation. And we would like backing from the Crown to enforce our laws, to protect the vice tax.
I would like to have enough guards to enforce those laws.
Huddle is noticeably quiet at this point. Mr. Tan, please forward on your documents that you have. We can review this, but really what we need is we need to hear what the additional propositions for more funding to protection of the city is going to be. Ms. Grosvenor can fill you in on the numbers of which we are facing protection of our city in a very tumultuous time at the moment with, and the Corvosan Guard has never been thinner.
That is true. In a town that should have over 300 guards, we have 73. Whether that's due to lack of pay, lack of training, death via the queen, and her plague, and her taxes, and her unrest, attacks by the Grey Maidens, all of which were condoned by most of the people in this room. So we need your help to save our city.
A word in defense of myself. I do not set these taxes. I am simply responsible for enforcing them.
But you did enforce them unilaterally.
He goes pretty quiet at that.
We can go investigate this insurgents and uprising. But maybe we should look at why people are uprising. What do they have to believe in? What hope do they have? What trust do they have that anyone in this room is going to protect them or have their best interests? So let's hear your proposals.
Marcus he kind of makes a motion, like agreeing, and Magister Gar steps forward, who has been relatively quiet so far, and he says, I'd like to propose a sale to people within and without the city, establishing them within the hierarchy of our city. In times past, in frontier cities such as this, many other colonies, frontier towns, monarchies, and governments have resorted to trading what they don't have in wealth for land and titles and political sway. We have that ability, whereas we don't have the finances we currently need. We can give to the wealthiest the ability to seize noble titles and purchase them in our city, commanding a high price that will finance the guard into a new prosperous funding.
And will there be a limit on the number of titles that are up for sale? Or are we going to inflate and therefore devalue the nobility?
My my recommendation is to set the price of such a title prohibitively high, so that very few can afford it, but those who can fund the coffers of the state, while at the same time not cheapening the value of the houses of nobility or the peerage review to the state of something like, say, the Council of Ushers.
Do we have an accounting of how many open seats we currently have due to the recent unrest?
Helpopoulos kind of strokes his chin and he says, it's not that we have openings within the nobility. It's more that the nobility and the political flow of the city ebbs and flows with favor and the monarchy. House Brahmanthan has rose in power somewhat with the coronation of King Endrin, as their house is favored with his. So the Magister Gar says, I've done some research to title purchases in Sargava and organizations that offer such things in frontier towns, such as the Pathfinder Society. Believe I have a price that is amenable to the crown. Many curry favor with governments to attain nobility, but with price, it is difficult to translate that into favor. I believe a sum of 15,000 gold to purchase a title of nobility in Corvosa and its holdings will gatekeep such a politically powerful purchase, while at the same time incentivizing those who wish to truly make a difference in the city the opportunity to do so.
Use anything to be concerned about, Dalibor?
No, this is done in multiple places throughout the world. It's fairly common. Is that a fair price, Andrew? Can I make any kind of check, or do I know if that's
You're making a praise. It's a little bit higher than your standard 20 DC though, because it's currying favor versus cost.
Well, that's
based on his research.
How about a 36?
30 is what I had it at. He's referring to the Pathfinder Society. And the Pathfinder Society doesn't sell them. It provides it as a benefit to members who have proved themselves in the organization, earned trust in the organization, earned a reputation in the organization, and have the boons and favors of many of their superiors and peers. It doesn't translate exactly, but 15,000 gold is close to what a society member would pay.
Okay.
Albeit they're not paying money to do it. So it's a service and an estimated cost. 15,000 gold is a lot of money. That would be a lot of money even to you guys.
Yeah.
So,
I
there are few who could afford such thing.
I think while the price is fair, I think we should add the duties that come with that noble title as well, and any land that comes with it. And that should be outlined as something that they can't just take it and abandon the city and leave the land holdings to rot. If they're going to do it, it's not just an investment in the city, but it's a life investment as well. That's just my opinion. Many people will take it and then be able to go elsewhere and say, I am a noble, and bring their title as a means in other locations. And not invest in where they've put their money. Of course, they're still willing to do that, or able to do that, but let's put it in there that, they have a job to do as a noble in the city. Whether they're taking care of lands that need to be farmed, or whatever that is that their title grants them as far as their duty to the city.
Those who have the means to purchase such a title surely bring with them an expertise of how they received such money.
Mm-hmm.
Kilpopoulos says, we typically provide modest land within the city accompanied with a townhouse of some kind here, as opposed to chartered land outside of the city limits. Magister Tan speaks up and says, what is your concern if they purchase the title and do not contribute to society? Their gold surely is a contribution in and of itself that we can use to pay for troops, for guards, for food, for equipment, for security.
Have you ever heard the phrase, give a man a fish, feed him for a day, teach a man to fish, he eats forever?
Tuttle smirks and nods.
You can give us the money now, but if they stay, it is much more valuable. If wherever their investment started from, wherever it came from, then it continues to grow here within the city, and you earn more money than just that initial sum. Now, we can't enforce a law, but I think it should come with the understanding that that is what we are hoping for. Or maybe make it so they have to stay for 5 years, and then they can sell their lands or whatever they want to do. It is just a thought, because I've seen it elsewhere in other areas where they've done similar things, and the people just liquidate and have a title. And the city burns through that money and then is none the better. Of course, now, situation that we're at, obviously that money is very useful.
I agree with the Exalted, Tuttle says. We are likely looking at two sorts of investors in such a title. Powerful adventurers who have made a fortune over a long career, in which case they're already invested here in the city, and they bring with them an experience that is particular. And secondly, foreign investors who bring with them commerce from far and wide. Second option seems like it would be more likely than the first. we should work hard to make sure that they have a stake here in this city, and that their interests are protected and encouraged. The king kind of sits up. All in favor of the sale of noble titles to financier the crown's endeavors, say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
You hear ayes all around. It's settled. Silgar, I'd like you to draft this. I'd like you to draft the specifics and particulars of this. The magistrate bows and steps back. Magistrate Tan, I am to understand that you have a new tax rate that you are proposing within the city. Garrick steps forward between everyone. Indeed. We have many taxes that I have analyzed. An income tax of 17.5%, which was holding a property tax based off of a number of modifiers. And we have eliminated the ridiculous sales tax imposed by Queen Arabasti, your predecessor. In addition, we have a vice tax. However, what I propose is a tax on those who can afford it, whose finances spike and flow. I'd like to propose an adventuring tax. Now, Corvosa has long since been opposed to the idea of unionization. However, there's an untapped market of adventurers. I'm proposing we create a guild, a structure filled with insurances and structure and enclosure for those who need something done that the guard simply does not have resources to accommodate. I've estimated an amount for tax revenue, calculated the tax percentage at 15% for the adventuring tax, lower than our income tax or vice tax. The tax makes assumptions based on the abilities and the danger of missions undertaken by these adventurers, and it goes into a spread of relative power of adventurers in their amounts. My assumption is that 1% of the population, as it ebbs and flows, holds standard that there are adventurers. I've calculated out 15%, and 1% would accommodate a rough estimate of around 225 adventurers. With this estimate, we would collect a monthly tax revenue of 77,575 gold in the initial month. For every task given to adventurers is taxed initially with a rate of what we estimate their spoils to be in such an undertaking, what they are awarded for such a gathering, for such an adventure by those who hire them, and is taken out of the initial top. It makes no assumptions over them gathering less or more than we might anticipate. And it is paid up front. It is skewed heavily. The more powerful of the adventurers pay more than the lessers. It also offers us an opportunity to incentivize these adventurers on a tax cut if they are to join our efforts in the guard and growing militia. I propose a 50% tax cut for any who are enlisted, which translates months of enlistment to months of adventuring thereafter.
Is there any precedence for this in other cities?
Is there?
You can make a knowledge geography.
$20?
I have that.
And before I respond, I have something else I want to add.
Would this be like a favored something?
I mean, if you were rolling specifically about your favorite communities and you wanted to know if it was related to a favorite community, I would say you could, but the information would only be pertaining to those communities you have favored.
Yeah, then no.
Which is still
Awesome.
Got a 36.
Okay. Dalibor, what were you going to add?
I said, before I answer my thoughts on that, Naveen, I would like to point out a thought that I had, which actually builds off of our Master of Coin here. The majority of damages during the riots took place in Old Corvosa, yes? The majority of damages and land that is unoccupied and unused is in Old Corvosa, yes? I had been thinking about this for some time, and I was thinking of saying something, but you bring this up. You mentioned there are no guilds allowed in the city, and rightfully so. We have many small crafters, small people that are the lifeblood of the city, and we don't want them overrun by large corporations, large guilds, large organizations. However, we could separate and allow guilds, allow organizations, but only in the purview of Old Corvosa, and we could tax them. That keeps them separate from everyone else. It keeps them separate from the individuals that are the mom and pop shops throughout Corvosa that are the lifeblood of the city. Anybody who comes and goes from the city will see them first before going on to the big guild areas. However, the guilds can not only take up residence in Old Corvosa, where we need the infrastructure and people, but it would be an included tax that we could also add. You could also build this adventuring guild up there as well.
Counter proposal. What if we decrease the entry fee into buying property, be it a house or a business for our citizens. We have a lot of people who are unhomed, who have skills that they could put to use. And we can maybe have a bigger discount in Corvosa. The more people owning property, the more taxes you get on that property.
More people
Many
buying property and
times-
building it are going to need no more building and more structure. That will put more work in the Corvosans' hands, building those structures.
Magister Tan thinks, or Tuttle thinks for a moment and says, there are a large number of abandoned buildings that are sitting in escrow. Crown could move to reduce the rate on these buildings so that they are purchasable by citizens who need them. We should also put these citizens to work repairing the damages that were dealt from the damages proposed by the Queen to the inexplicable fires within the past few days along a sodden coastline of Bridgefront.
I've heard of a program in a different city where they took folks who had no jobs, had no skills, taught them the skills and paid them not a lot, but put them to work building structures, improving roads. It is doable. It is sustainable.
As far as the Adventurers Guild goes, adventuring taxes are probably less common, significantly less common, but guilds have dues.
I was going to say fees.
Dues and fees, and the Arcana Circle has dues that are coming up very soon for a couple of you. And the groups like the Aspis Consortium or the Pathfinder Society are known to take large quantities of what their members come across in their adventures and pay them a sum outright. So a tax on a guild, depending on how it's structured and presented, may not be entirely far-fetched, but the implementation is important and the execution is important.
Is this what we both get, or just what Naveen gets?
You both get that. The
Okay.
DC was a 20.
As far as the guild goes, I think instead of it being taxes, if the government is running the guild hall, it should be a fee to join, and anyone in the city who wants to give missions has to go through the guild hall. And that way any adventurers who want to work have to pay a fee. And then anything they bring back, portions of that go to them. Much like the Pathfinders Society it works. And then they
I
get out a lump
considered
sum.
10 nods. I agree. Structuring it as a fee will be more desirable, and I agree with you that the city should take control of the flow of of jobs in that nature. I am concerned, however, with enforcement of how do we enforce claiming loot they bring back? How do we attest for evasion? And I think that the answer to that is we can't. And we can only judge the jobs they undertake by its danger and what we perceive might come from it. And structure the fees to that job accordingly and upfront as to not be evaded.
Sounds good. Also, if people go outside of the guild to issue work to these adventurers, then they'll have to pay a vice tax. And then we still get it.
And you hear Darb say, or jail time.
And we think this will bring adventurers into the city.
If they don't have to go snooping around, maybe. If they just have one place they go to get work all the time and there's always work. Might be easier. I don't know.
The stability may bring people in, Kilpopoulos says. We have to be careful about how we are presenting this. We need to show our citizens and the potential adventurers the benefits to such structure. And essentially, with adventurers being illegal, all jobs are approved through the crown, and thus they are somewhat deputized.
If this goes through, I look at the king and Calipopoulos. You'll have to make sure to put someone who is both in charge of it and understands the meaning of adventuring. And can see it from the point of view of the adventurers. Otherwise, it will not be fair. You couldn't put me in charge of teaching people how to read hippogriffs, is what I'm saying.
I understand, the king says. Are either of you interested in undertaking such a responsibility? There's quite a lot on both of your plates already. But he says, and he looks to you, Naveen, if you were to undertake such a responsibility, would allow you to account for, have your finger to the pulse of how many adventures we have and potential recruitment. Naveen instantly looks like 3 times more tired. You don't need an answer now. Take your time to think about it.
Thank you.
Take a few days. The time skip. Or the
montage.
The montage.
Montage.
Well, we should bring this to vote. All in favor of an adventuring guild with taxes / fees implemented to support the endeavors of the crown and the security of Corvosa and all its holdings, say aye.
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 And you hear everyone says aye, because it's more money. That's what everybody here wants. It's more money, and it was logically presented.
Right.
It's not taxing people who are already at their limit.
Well, Is there any other propositions we have?
What about the option of adding other guilds to Old Corvosa area and restricting them to that area?
Yes, we should speak about that. You see, Tuttle speaks up. My concern is adding such guilds might exacerbate the issue that the Magister of Commerce is seeing. If guilds come, do we then get unions? Do we then get more protests on legal entities in the city? How do we control it?
Would they
Anyth-
displace the people who already call Old Corvosa home?
Say that again.
Would they displace the people who already call Old Corvosa home?
The guild?
A bunch of guilds coming in? Yeah.
My thought was that they would take the locations of places that are currently not in use or destroyed. Not the place that people are already inhabiting. But it's a good point. It was just a thought. I did not write up anything. I wasn't even planning on bringing it up until Tam here said something of a similar related notion.
Perhaps a delegation should go to Karamaga and observe how the guilds work. Observe their citizens, not just those in the guild. What are we missing in this shining beacon called Karamaga?
You see, Tuttle looks really, really jittery and nervous at the prospect of sending observation to Karamaga, the city of anarchy. And he's just like, I am not certain that we should use Karamaga and their riotous anarchy as a template for how we interact. They fight and squabble at one another. We need to work together. Kalpopoulos looks at Tuttle, looks at you, Naveen, says, perhaps we can look at a less extreme example. Observe how Yenderhof operates in such a way.
Or Magnamar, even.
You say Magnamar and Magister Gar Spitz.
Do we not have good relations with Magmar?
King Andred sighs and says, we never have. Magnamar and Corvosa have been rivals and enemies, he quotes it, since the Corvosans who departed our city went and created Magnamar. The separatists, he says.
People who did not want to be under Cheliax's rule, yes?
Yes.
Dalbor lets the awkward pause stay there.
I believe the revelation of an adventuring guild is going to be a shock to the order of things in Corvosa, and we should not do too much too fast with additional guilds. people have suffered extreme. They won't say that like that. He'd say the punishment for unionization is harsh, and we need to make sure that we separate this guild as something that is a state sanctioned entity.
Let's not call it a
department.
guild.
Everybody has their attention on you, Dalibor.
The word is the implication, correct?
Ward?
The word. Sorry. My accent is bad. The word guild is what triggers people's thoughts of unionization, guilds. Call it the adventurer's house. Call it the, anything else. Don't associate
Academy.
it with the guild. Yes.
We could
I
have
mean-
an adventuring academy. We have many academies in this city.
Oh, I like that. Just like the Pathfinder Society, it's not the guild, but it is. And technically, everything they do would be fine in Corvosa, but they aren't a guild. But that's exactly how we're designing this, correct?
Indeed.
You could call it the academy. You could call it the society. You could call it a whatever you want. Name it after something that's meaningful to the city. Hippogriff Adventuring Academy. Although academy sounds like school, it's not really school, yes?
It could be.
You're muted.
Are there any other propositions we have on the table?
I don't have any.
We have some items to address on the agenda to further refine this adventurer's house and formalize it within the city government. But both of the motions have passed the small council. We hold this meeting adjourned.
I nod. I go to 10 and I try to smooth things over.
He seems to have just kind of that since things have cooled and he was called out by Kelpopolis, his feathers have unruffled a little bit.
I still try to apologize. I don't want him to be angry at me. I wasn't targeting him directly. And I want him to understand that.
You get the sense that Can is not very well liked in the city. He's the magister of taxes, of
Right.
collecting taxes.
Well, and we've met
Nobody
him
likes
and
that
talked with
person.
him before, right? At parties.
Right,
stuff.
and that's information you have gotten before.
Yeah. And I said, my apologies. I've had a very long day. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to call you out like that. This was not my intent. I haven't slept in 4 days.
His eyes widen. I should be more used to that. But I'm always defensive whenever I think that my department is under attack. And this dare is just the next frustrating thing. We already suffered such huge damages to our reputation with Iliosa's ridiculous sales tax that was completely unenforceable.
I have a feeling that the situation with your dare is towards something not sanctioned. call it a hunch.
I don't like that at all. I'm going down.
Got a raid coming in, everybody. Shirley, indeed. Shirley, welcome on in. How you doing? What were you doing? Welcome on in. We're doing some tabletop role playing. Shirley, indeed, is one of my wonderful, amazing friends from the Renaissance Festival.
Oh my god. Well, that's nice. All right. Well, where are we at right now? Come on.
Here we go, guys. Go and check out Shirley, indeed.
It's gonna yoink me off the ship again, isn't it? Goodbye. Yep, there it is. There it is. Just fucking yeeted me off the ship again. Goddamn cut scenes.
Yeeted.
So you're able to kind of smooth things over with Magister Tan a little bit.
Yeah. I just try. I also try to make his make the dare thing a little. Try and make it a little less of a concern, because I kind of have an idea of where it's come from and what's going on. But I also I say, get me the information. I'll see if I can find some people to look into it. But I have slight feeling from feelers. It sounds vaguely familiar with something that has nothing to do with someone who actually pays their vice tax. But the people that are reacting to these posters are overreacting as something else. It's just a thought, but I will look into it.
I appreciate your resources on this.
I nod.
I cannot say I agree with your assessment of the situation. Attacking someone over a perceived tax infringement, even if it is not a legal tax infringement, is not within the purview of the citizenry. It is under the authority of the Department of Commerce and the Coercion Guard, which enforces the laws and charters of the city.
So if we find the person, we make it public that the people infringing on the taxes are arrested, to placate the people that are doing it and remind them it is not their job, it is ours.
And we levy just consequences to those who take the law into their own hands.
Unless, of course, they've paid their own vice tax.
Violence is never covered under vice taxes. You know this.
I'm just trying to be funny. I'm sorry. I'm going to go get some sleep now.
And you split off.
Yeah.
And with that is where we will end things for tonight's game.
Okay. Let me see here. Where can we go? Where can we go from here? Let us see. I'm still in Dalibor voice mode, apparently. We're just going to go on over to our friends. We're going to pay it forward from Shirley, indeed, my fun friend of Doom from the Renaissance Festival. And we're going to pay it forward to one of our other friends, although she's not actually on this particular show, but she's part of the group, part of the Guild Superior. We're going to raid on over to Guild Superior, even though she's not there, but her friends and allies are over there. So we're going to go and raid on over to them. They're doing some D&D, The Freelancers, Part 3. So thank you guys for being here so much. I appreciate it. Of course, if you can join tomorrow. Tomorrow is our drinking stream. You will be able to cause me to drink alcohol tomorrow, and and it will be lots of fun. We're going to also be playing Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? So, of course, the more I drink, the dumber I'm going to get, I'm sure. So, please join us for that. And, of course, if you missed any previous episodes of this or any other tabletop RPGs, they're all available on YouTube. So, go ahead and check those out. So, thank you guys so much for being here tonight. Thank you for chatting with us throughout the night. And, of course, to our people here tonight that have joined us, thank you guys for being part of this. And thank you, Andrew, for running. Bye, everyone.